Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Cast. My name's Gary, and here I am once again. And today we're going to talk about a book that will probably or most likely be confused to me talking about politics. Yeah, because the book I'm about to talk about, merely about the book and its topics, is or was written partially um, or fully, I'm not really sure now, but it was written by Donald J. Trump. In case you live on Mars and you don't know who Donald J. Trump is the new president of the United States to take over as of next Monday, that is January the 20th, as the tradition, as the American calendar. I don't know if you know that, but the new president of the United States doesn't have his or her first day of work on the 1st of January after the year of the election, but the 20th of January, okay? So next Monday, the 20th of January 2025, Donald J. Trump's taking over, is having his so-called inauguration. I mean, I say so-called because that's the official name, okay? The inauguration. It's even an interesting false friend to us Brazilians, because if we transliterate this word like inauguração, right? Okay, it gives us an idea of what that thing is, but what kind of inauguration are we talking about? But in English, inauguration is only or almost only used in terms of the celebration for the new president-elect of the United States. All right, so that's it, and he's about to take over. But I swear I'm not talking about politics here. It's not about politics. It's just that I was thinking of this fact, next Monday. I absolutely have no opinions about it, or at least not opinions I would like to share here, at least not in this episode. Maybe by public demand, I may come up with something in the future. But for this episode, I'm going to exclusively and only restrain myself to talk about the book, The Art of the Deal. Okay, the title, I never read any official statement about it, but it's clearly the title is clearly inspired, quote unquote, in the title of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, right? The millennial classic, okay? Chinese classic, The Art of War, right? Or Art of the War. I'm not quite sure if Art of War or Art of the War, but that's it. That's the book we're talking about is called The Art of the Deal by Donald J. Trump. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Just go grab your cup of coffee, tea, water, beer, whatever it takes for you to relax, because it's Friday, ladies and gents. Yeah, it's a cloudy and yet warm Friday, which I don't know what to think about, to be honest, but that's what we have. That's how we go, right? So relax, sit down, and just let us do it right now. Well, one of the reasons why I read the book in the first place is the reason that makes me admire Donald Trump as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, is the fact that he just managed to turn a millionaire empire, or I don't even know if I can call a millionaire business company an empire, but like a millionaire business that was his father's construction business, to which he grew up, like getting involved in the work related, through his father, of course, right? But even though he managed to learn and take over the company when his father got old, and here's the most important part: multiply it. He managed to multiply his daddy's business over the years. Okay, and funny story, in case you're wondering, hey, it must be easy if you have a solid background like Donald Trump had. And I'm not gonna argue that, because probably it is easy, or at least easier than to ordinary people whose father is a baker or a mathematics teacher, or I don't know, right? Sure, but it is interesting the fact that he has a couple of siblings. I don't remember exactly, 4 or 5. Some of them already dead. The truth of the matter is, his older brother, if you read his biography, Trump's biography, you're gonna find out that his older brother, who was obviously meant to be the successor, families still have to the present day, but more in the past, years ago, decades ago, they had this thing of the firstborn is like the one who carry the crown, to take the crown to, you know what I'm trying to say here. And his older brother didn't want that. In fact, he was a pretty depressive person and alcoholic, and he ended up, unfortunately, dying at a very young age. Trump mentions that in the book, some regrets that he had for not being able or being mature enough to deal with his brother when he was alive and was going through severe, some problems, right? Severe situation with alcohol addiction. I don't even know if there were drugs involved, but he was pretty much depressed, and he was taking that on the alcoholic drinks. And Trump says it himself that he, in this very same book, by the way, which is a kind of a memoir, as they say, it is a memoir, which is a kind of a self-biography, okay? And he mentions that he was not mature. He regrets the fact that he was not mature enough to talk to his brother and go like, hey, if you're not up to take daddy's business, it's okay. Go do something else, but don't just destroy your life. Because probably and apparently he was under lots of pressure by his father to take over the family's business, right? And it turned out that Donald, the second son, was the one who naturally took over it, right? And Trump remembers not dealing well in terms of saying to his brother, hey, come on, man, what do you want in your life? Wake the hell up, right? And he says that if he were today, he wouldn't have said those mean words to his brother. I don't know if he blames himself for his death or partially for his death, but he was pretty sad. He says that in the book. I'm just saying that because it's worth to remember that he kind of came up from a not abundant home, right? His father had money, but his father was a clearly alcoholic, a clearly workaholic person. I was talking about alcohol problems. No, his father was a workaholic person, Fred Trump. And he was a pretty tough cookie, as they say, right? A pretty tough person. So it wasn't like he had like a perfect life, a dream life, like a royal family thing. No, he was rich. They had money, but first generation of rich people. So you know what I'm saying? Like his father came up from a poor family, and then he kind of brought that quite intelligently, I would say, brought that atmosphere of, hey, we gotta do things. Nothing is guaranteed. We gotta work our butts off in order to have a good life, and I have the impression that not to say the certainty, that this mindset pretty much influenced Donald Trump to become the tough person in a good sense of like, let's get a deal done, let's get things done. I'm not gonna rest, I'm not gonna stop, and that turned him into the multi-billionaire he became years later, which obviously influenced in his political career, which again, I'm not gonna talk about. But that's pretty much the panorama I make when I start talking about Donald Trump, and the reason why I admire him as a businessman. So In fact, I'm a big fan of his when it comes to business, to his business background, to the entrepreneurship uh, things, that he's done, basically, right? So yeah, this is the reason why I decided to record this, to read this book in first place. I read that years ago, and I was kind of a rereading it before recording this to kind of drag some inspiration out. But yeah, so that's it. That's the reason why I want to talk about it. And let's just take a look at a summary that my big buddy ChatGPT has brought us. Let's do it. Okay, so the first thing here is work ethic and focus. The first main point that he emphasizes in his book. I strongly recommend everyone reading this book, preferably in English, of course. But if not, just read it in Portuguese because the contents are so important. And again, it doesn't really matter what you think about the president, Donald Trump, okay? Because that's irrelevant, okay? We're talking about a book written in 1987, so years before he started even dreaming about becoming president of the United States. So just let it go for this episode, I ask you, in case you hate him, okay? All right, so work ethics and focus. Trump describes his early mornings, late nights, and hands-on approach to managing his project. He portrays himself as someone who's deeply involved in every detail, whether it's construction materials, legal agreements, or marketing campaigns. He underscores the need to maintain focus and not be afraid to get into the weeds of an operation. One example is that Trump recounts personally overseeing the renovation of Commodore Hotel, later the Grand Hyatt, in New York, ensuring quality and efficiency at every stage. This is one of the things that I always talk when I'm talking about business with my friends and inspirations and everything like that, is the fact that it's so easy for constructors to play the business people behind them, the guys putting the money in the projects, in the buildings, in the constructions, because 95% of them barely knows what a brick is, for example, or cement. In other words, they don't know almost anything about construction. And that was a differential for Donald Trump and his father. They came up from this environment. That was their bread and butter, as they say. That was their work. Okay, that was their job, constructing things. So he knew back in the days, still knows, of course, what he was talking about when he would sit at a table to negotiate with constructors, and more importantly than that, to charge for terms, for time, for efficiency, for price. Someone would say, hey, in order to come up, to make this, to build this building, where it's gonna take us X million dollars, and he would go like, come on, you can do that with less than that, So he knew what he was talking about. So that was a big differentiation, which makes total sense about the focus part of like, be there at every detail, So it's not only about being there at every detail, checking, but know what every detail is made of. Okay, at least have a panorama. That's what I think. You don't necessarily have to know every detail of the construction, but the panorama is really, really paramount, fundamental that you know something about. The second point here is the importance of thinking big. Trump emphasizes setting ambitious goals and not settling for mediocrity. He believes that aiming high not only opens doors to bigger opportunities, but also inspires confidence in others, such as investors and collaborators. One example he brings is, he describes the scale and bigness of Trump Tower of Fifth Avenue, explaining how the project symbolized luxury and establishes brand. So yeah, the Trump Tower is like his favorite. project, his favorite enterprise in his career, apparently, right? Especially because it takes his name, especially because he lives there. I mean, as president of the United States in the White House, of course, but when he's not in the White House, that's his home, right? And there's a very interesting story behind the construction of the Trump Tower, which I will not spoil. I'll just leave it for you to read the book and just tell me later in the comment section below. So the next point is that negotiation tactics. He offers practical advice on negotiation. Know your facts, do thorough research before entering negotiations, leverage, find something the other party values and use it to your advantage. Patience, be willing to wait for the right moment to strike a deal. Be bold, make offers and proposals that might seem risky, but can yield high rewards. He discusses securing favorable terms for the acquisition of the Bonwit Teller building, which became the site for Trump Tower. Yeah, these four points of advice, like know the facts, like paramount. You're gonna negotiate with someone. You really need to know what you're negotiating, and who you're negotiating with, basically. Okay, the leverage thing is like propulsion. Okay, so you have to use something that the other side cherishes, okay, or values, and take advantage out of it. I don't say take advantage out of it in a negative or criminal sense, of course not, or an ethical sense. No, like use that to your favor, okay, as long as that doesn't make you into a crook, like doesn't make you into a bad person. Why not? That's what I'm trying to say. Patience. You need to be patient. That's pretty important, because sometimes the negotiation is not going well, and if you try to rush, you are in big disadvantage, because the other part will take advantage out of it naturally, right? Just like you will if you're on the other side. And be bold, be brave, be courageous. Needs no explanation, does it? The power of optimism and momentum. Trump argues that enthusiasm is contagious and that projecting confidence can build momentum that is a propulsion for a project. He believes creating a sense of excitement attracts people and resources to the venture. One example in the book is that he explains how he generated buzz for his Atlantic City casino projects by engaging the media and crafting a narrative of success. Well, to be honest, I don't remember exactly what was the story behind this Atlantic City casino, but I remember it had something to do with, like, he bought the casino and then the local government's mayor or governor, I don't remember quite well, but they were almost prohibiting casinos. Okay, I remember that it had something to do with this. Okay, and then he managed to talk to everyone, convince that he would create a spectacular number of jobs, and that would increase the local public revenue, and all these things he brought to the table and managed to turn around and have his casino operating, and everything just turned out fine, according to him, of course. Building a personal brand. Trump stresses the importance of branding and self-promotion. He explains that a strong personal brand creates a perception of success, which can attract business opportunities and partnerships. For example, Trump's name became synonymous with luxury and success, and he leveraged this brand to license his name for other ventures, such as hotels, casinos, and even products. Well, that point takes no or doesn't need much explanation. In fact, does it? For us Brazilians, is like chances are that Donald Trump more because of his political career, of course. He wasn't and will be, as of next Monday, the president of the United States, of course. The truth of the matter is that before that, everyone knew him. in United States. It's a kind of a shoddy, it's kind of a weak comparison, but it will give you an idea. It was something similar, save the due proportions, of course, as of a velho da van we have in Brazil, for example. Minus political things. He was always a political involved person, but he wasn't a controversial. So the media, he was the media's boyfriend, as they say, right? In terms of, he was like perceived as a cool person, much different to what you have these days, right? I don't know what it will be like from now on in his new mandate as president in the United States, but in the past 8 years, like, he was almost synonym, according to some media vehicles, to Adolf Hitler. Wasn't he? I don't know about you guys, but tell me. I had the impression that the media just would slash on him all the time, and I'm not gonna discuss the merits if it's fair or not. I'm just saying the facts here as I see them. So, but he was like he had a positive public image before as a successful businessman and everything, because he went over, just to give you a panorama, he didn't restrict himself to construction areas. He built casinos, hotels, came up with a TV show, The Apprentice. Yeah, if you know The Apprentice here in Brazil with Roberto Justus, just know that the original O Aprendiz, The Apprentice, is Donald Trump's show, right? He is the guy there, right? There were other seasons with other businessmen, but he was the first one. So just so you can have an idea, okay, about what was his public image before everything. So that's what this point here about the personal brand means, basically. Calculated risk-taking. Trump highlights the need to evaluate risks thoroughly and take bold actions when the odds are in your favor. He believes that entrepreneurial success often hinges on taking the right risks at the right time. For example, he describes his gamble on acquiring the dilapidated Commodore Hotel and transforming it into a luxury property, despite skepticism from others in the real estate world. Well, pretty much this story of the Commodore Hotel, it was a hotel in New York City, in the I don't remember exactly the area. I think it's close to the station, the Grand Hotel Station. I guess it's the name of. I'm not gonna check it, but it's in the heart of New York. Okay, I don't know New York, so I'm just saying. But it was in the heart of New York. Okay, in a pretty estimated location. All right, and it was an old hotel, really perishing. Okay, and losing money year after year. Okay, and owing taxes to the local government. In the numbers of $6 million, okay? $6 million is a hell of a money today, right? What about 1976, 77? So yeah, or even before that when they started the negotiations, 1974. So it was a historical and well-established, well-located building, but totally destroyed in terms of visual, in terms of quality. Okay, it was not falling apart, of course, and I don't want to exaggerate it here, but it was bad. Okay, and he saw that opportunity and started negotiating and went through a gigantic back and forth negotiations, talking here and there, talking to the banks for financing, talking to the city hall, prefeitura, city hall, for tax rebates or tax. I forgot the term now, but that he wouldn't pay tax, for a tax exemption for over 40 years, So it is a pretty interesting negotiation. He almost gave up at some point, but the book goes in details about these negotiations in this story. It is one of my favorite chapters, and I even got to reread it before recording this episode. But I'm not gonna say much. I don't want to spoil it. I want you to read it and just let me know your impression. So the seventh point is understanding the value of timing. Timing, according to Trump, can make or break a deal. Recognizing when to buy, sell, or renegotiate is crucial to maximizing value. He recalls delaying certain projects until economic conditions improved, allowing him to negotiate better terms or sell it at premium, that best price. Flexibility and adaptability. Trump acknowledges that not everything goes as planned. Being able to pivot and adapt to changing circumstances is a key part of his strategy. For example, he discusses how he adapted his plans from the Wonik rink renovation in New York, completing it ahead of schedule and under budget by bypassing bureaucratic inefficiencies. Guys, this story is amazing. Okay, there was this ice skiing rink in New York that was totally abandoned. The city hall did not have conditions, political and financially, more political than financially, of course, to renovate it. Okay, so it became a popular story, like that the city hall, the government would renovate it. Okay, and then there was a point where Donald Trump said, "You know what? I can do it." He just stated that publicly, and the mayor back in the days accepted the challenge. He said, "Okay, do it." Okay, so there were, of course, lots of back and forth negotiations and stories, but turned out that he did it. Okay, he made it. And I don't know what it is like, because again, I've never been to New York, if this woman rink still exists, but he managed to deliver what he promised. That's the point. Leveraging relationships and networks. Trump describes how building relationships with bankers, contractors, politicians, and media figures helped him achieve his goals. He highlights the importance of networking and maintaining goodwill. He shares how his connection with key figures in New York City government facilitated deals like the Central Park Woman Rink project. 10. Learning from failure. Trump briefly touches on setbacks and failures, framing them as learning experiences. While he doesn't dwell on failures in detail, he emphasizes resilience and persistence. He recounts challenges in early real estate ventures, such as difficulties securing financing, and how he used these experiences to improve his approach. This is one of the coolest and my favorite things about this book, that he doesn't only say, the positive things. He talks about the setbacks as well and how he learned from them. That's a pretty interesting observation, by the way, ChatGPT. Thank you. Well, that's pretty much. I can talk more about it. ChatGPT brought more points, aspects to be considered, but I think we can pretty much have the big picture here about the book. So I emphatically recommend you to read it. Okay, you're gonna certainly learn it, no matter what you think of him as a public and person about his political career. But as a businessman, he made something. Okay, we must acknowledge that, no matter how much you like or dislike him or whatever. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so very much for your lovely company. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.